Lieutenant Jessica Martinez stood at the observation deck of the Stellar Harmony, her reflection ghosting against the reinforced plasteel as distant stars painted white streaks across the void. 5 years had passed since first contact, and humanity still struggled to find its footing among the stars. The Galactic Council's massive station loomed ahead, its crystalline spires reflecting the light of three suns. Lieutenant, the Mortharian delegation requests your presence, the ship's AI announced, its voice carefully modulated to hide any hint of concern. The Mortharians, with their silicon-based biology, had proven particularly challenging to communicate with. Jessica straightened her uniform and touched the translator pin at her collar. Standard translation protocols had failed spectacularly during their last three attempts at negotiation. The Council was watching, as they always did, measuring humanity's worth among the stars. The conference room held an atmosphere thick with tension. The Mortharian representatives, towering crystalline beings that chimed softly as they moved, stood clustered at one end. Their faceted surfaces reflected the room's light in complex patterns that Jessica had learned carried additional meaning. We express confusion at human inefficiency. The Lid Mortharian's translation came through as a series of musical notes. Your species lacks unified purpose. This creates disorder. Jessica noticed something in their movements, a rhythm she'd observed during their previous meetings. It reminded her of the wind chimes her grandmother kept on her porch in New Mexico. Each Mortharian's movements created specific tones, building upon each other like an orchestra. An idea struck her, risky, unconventional, and exactly the sort of thing that make humans unique among the stars. Computer, access Earth's musical database. Pull up Mozart's Symphony No. 40 in G minor, she commanded. The AI complied, and the first notes filled the room. The Mortharian's crystalline forms vibrated in response. This is how humans communicate unity through complexity, Jessica explained, gesturing to the interweaving melodies. Different instruments, different notes, creating harmony through their diversity, like your own communication methods. The Mortharian's surfaces shifted, catching light in new patterns. Their chiming changed frequency, matching the symphony's rhythm. Understanding blazed across the cultural divide. In the observation gallery above, council representatives from a dozen species watched with increasing interest. The Valaxians, with their highly logical minds, made notes about human adaptive capabilities. The ethereal Lumini pulsed with curiosity at this unconventional approach to diplomacy. Over the next 6 hours, Jessica and the Mortharians developed a new translation protocol based on musical theory. They mapped human speech patterns to crystalline harmonics, creating a bridge between their vastly different forms of communication. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. As the meeting concluded, the lead Mortharian approached Jessica. Its crystalline form shifted through a rainbow of colors before settling on a deep blue. We understand now. Humans bring chaos, but purposeful chaos. Like your music, you create order from disorder. This is valuable. The words coming through the new translation protocol carried subtle harmonics of respect. Jessica couldn't help but smile. This was why humanity had reached for the stars, not just to explore, but to understand and be understood. Later, in her quarters, Jessica recorded her log entry. Today marked a small step forward, but it represents something larger. The galaxy expected us to adapt to their ways, to follow paths laid down over millennia. Instead, we're finding our own way, bringing human creativity and innovation to challenges that have stumped other species for generations. They think in straight lines. We dance between the stars. She paused, looking out at the starfield beyond her window. Maybe that's our real gift to the galaxy, not our technology or our strength, but our ability to see patterns in chaos and find harmony in difference. The stars called to us, and we answered in our own unique way. The Council's official report that day noted humanity's unexpected problem-solving methodology and distinctive approach to interspecies relations. Behind the diplomatic language lay a deeper recognition. humanity had proven itself not just capable of joining Galactic. Thomas Anderson traced his fingers across the holographic display, manipulating quantum probability fields with the same ease he once used to design video game levels. The engineering bay of the Neptune Research Station hummed with energy as ancient alien technology merged with human innovation. They said it couldn't be done, he murmured, watching the simulation's swirling patterns. But they never played Quantum Crusade II with a bugged physics engine. His unlikely journey from game designer to spacecraft engineer had raised eyebrows throughout the scientific community. But humanity's fresh perspective on space travel had already begun reshaping galactic technology, and Thomas's gaming background provided insights that traditional engineers missed. The quantum drive before him represented 3 years of work, combining principles from a dozen alien civilizations with techniques borrowed from video game optimization algorithms. The Galactic Council's senior engineers had declared it impossible. Quantum fields couldn't be manipulated with such precision, they said. The energy requirements would be astronomical. Running final simulation, announced the lab's AI. The holographic display expanded, filling the room with streams of data. Thomas watched as the quantum fields aligned exactly as he predicted, forming patterns remarkably similar to the resource management systems he'd designed for strategy games. A soft chime announced a visitor. "Enter," Thomas called, not taking his eyes off the display. Ambassador Searle of the Centauri Confederation glided into the lab, their bioluminescent form casting shifting shadows. The Council requests an update on Project Dreamweaver. They announced, their translator converting musical tones into English. Thomas gestured at the simulation. "Watch this," he said, excitement creeping into his voice. With a few quick gestures, he initiated the drive sequence. The holographic ship in the center of the display shimmered, its quantum field restructuring in ways that defied conventional physics. "Impossible," Sarl whispered, their bioluminescence flickering rapidly. "The energy requirements alone would be impossible using traditional methods," Thomas agreed. "But we're not using traditional methods. We're using quantum field compression algorithms based on video game resource management. The same principles that let us render complex virtual worlds with limited computing power." The simulation reached its climax. The test ship's quantum field collapsed inward, creating a pocket of altered spacetime that enveloped the vessel. Energy readings stayed well within safe parameters. "It's not about having more power," Thomas explained, pulling up comparison charts. "It's about using what we have more efficiently. In gaming, we learn to create vast worlds with limited resources. The same principle applies here. We're not forcing our way through spacetime. We're finding the most efficient path through it." Searle's translator struggled to convert their response, settling for unprecedented methodology. Thomas smiled. "That's humanity for you. We look at thousand-year-old technology and ask, but what if we tried it this way? Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places." The next week, the Dreamweaver made its first test flight. Thomas stood in mission control, watching as Captain Emily Chen piloted the experimental vessel. The quantum drive engaged with a subtle ripple of blue light. "Quantum field stable," reported the ship's AI. "Energy consumption at 30% of projected requirements, achieving faster than light travel in 3, 2, 1. The Dreamweaver disappeared in a flash of cerulean light, leaving behind amazed observers from a dozen worlds. When it reappeared precisely on target 5 light-years away, the impossible had become reality. In his personal log that evening, Thomas recorded, "They called us primitive when we arrived among the stars. Said we had centuries of catching up to do. But maybe that was our advantage. We didn't know what was impossible, so we went ahead and did it anyway." He paused, looking at a framed copy of his old game developer certificate hanging beside his quantum physics credentials. Sometimes the best way to move forward is to play by different rules. And if there's one thing humans know how to do, it's change the game. The success of the Dreamweaver marked more than a technological breakthrough. It announced to the galaxy that humanity wouldn't simply adopt alien technology, they would transform it, combining the wisdom of the ages. Captain Michael Williams stood on the bridge of the Earthbound Wonder, watching the swirling blue-purple clouds of the azurite expanse through the main viewport. Navigation systems flickered and died, just as they had for every other ship that attempted to cross this mysterious region of space. All conventional nav systems offline. First Officer Elena Rodriguez reported, her hands dancing across the holographic controls. The quantum interference is too strong. Michael nodded, expecting this. The Expanse had defeated the best navigation systems of a dozen alien civilizations. But humans had something those civilizations didn't: intuition refined by centuries of ocean navigation. Begin Protocol Magellan, he ordered, watching as his crew initiated the experimental system they developed. The bridge lights dimmed, and the neural interface crown lowered onto his head. Around him, 5 other crew members received their own crowns. Neural sync in 3, 2, 1. The ship's AI counted down. The sensation hit like a wave. 6 human minds linked together, each perceiving the expanse in a slightly different way. Through their shared consciousness, patterns emerged in the chaos. What seemed like random quantum fluctuations to machines became a dance of energy, like ocean currents flowing through space. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant James Foster through the Neuralink. "The patterns, they're like the trade winds back home." Michael understood. Humanity had spent millennia reading wind and wave, star and cloud. Those ancient skills, combined with modern technology, let them see what alien logic couldn't comprehend. "Beginning mapping sequence," Elena announced. The Earthbound Wonder glided forward, its human crew guiding it through the quantum storms like ancient sailors threading through treacherous reefs. In the observation deck, representatives from the Galactic Council watched in amazement. The Methusians, masters of mathematics, couldn't calculate a safe path through the expanse. The Zalaxians, with their quantum-based minds, found the chaos incomprehensible. Yet here were humans, navigating by feel and instinct, succeeding where pure logic had failed. Hours passed as the ship wound its way deeper into the expanse. The neural interface translated the crew's shared perceptions into navigation data, creating the first reliable maps of this unexplored region. Energy spike detected. Elena's warning came just as Michael sensed a disturbance in the quantum flows. Without conscious thought, he guided the ship into a roll, threading between 2 massive energy waves that would have torn apart any vessel following computational navigation. "That was impossible," one of the Methusian observers stated flatly. "The computational time required to plot that course. We didn't compute it," Michael explained, not taking his eyes off the swirling energies ahead. "We felt it. Sometimes the best computer is the human mind." The Earthbound Wonder emerged from the azurite expanse 18 hours later, having charted a stable route through what had been considered an insurmountable barrier. The ship's database contained not just maps, but a new understanding of how human intuition could bridge the gap between quantum mechanics and practical space travel. In the following weeks, the Stellar Cartographers program was born. Ships staffed with neural-linked human crews began mapping other regions that had defied conventional navigation. Each success proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology, but the ability to understand patterns that machines couldn't quantify. Michael recorded in his captain's log. "The galaxy thought we were taking our first steps into space, but they forgot that humans have always been explorers. We crossed oceans by reading the stars, found paths through storms by understanding wind and wave. Now we're applying those same skills to the cosmos, proving that sometimes the oldest wisdom unlocks the newest frontiers." The Azurite Expanse became known as the Williams Passage, but more importantly, it marked the point where humanity transformed from newcomers to pioneers. The stars had challenged them, and they had answered with a combination of ancient knowledge and new technology. Captain Rachel Thompson watched the mysterious vessels shimmer at the edge of known space, their crystalline hulls reflecting starlight in ways that defied physics. The Galactic Council had descended into chaos at their arrival, with species divided between preparing for war and attempting retreat. Status report on Project Starbridge, she commanded, standing aboard the bridge of the Explorer's Dawn. Her ship, along with 5 others, had been modified for this unprecedented mission. Lieutenant Marcus Rivera looked up from his console. All ships report ready, Captain. The quantum resonance arrays are synchronized. Rachel nodded, her mind returning to the ancient Earth ceremonies that had inspired this plan. When words failed, humans had always found other ways to communicate, through art, through movement, through shared experience. Begin the sequence, she ordered. Let's show them our dance. The 6 human ships moved in perfect formation, their engines creating intricate patterns of light and energy. It wasn't just random movement. They were recreating the mathematical precision of ballet combined with the fluid grace of traditional Pacific Island navigation. Incoming transmission from the Council, Communications Officer Hannah Park announced. They're questioning our sanity, Captain. Rachel smiled. Send them our telemetry data. Let them see the mathematics behind the art. The human ships continued their cosmic ballet, each movement calculated to demonstrate both technological precision and artistic beauty. The resonance arrays amplified their engine signatures, creating harmonics that rippled through space itself. Movement from the visitor vessels, Marcus reported, tension in his voice. The crystalline ships had begun to shift, their formations changing. At first, it seemed random, until Hannah gasped in realization. Captain, they're matching our patterns. They're joining the dance. Rachel watched as the alien vessels synchronized with their movements, adding their own flourishes to the display. Where the human ships created patterns of light and energy, the visitors added crystalline resonances that transformed the space between them into a symphony of color. They understand, Rachel breathed. They recognize the mathematics of beauty. Over the next several hours, the 2 fleets engaged in an intricate exchange of movement and energy. Each sequence communicated more than words could express. Concepts of harmony, cooperation, and shared discovery translated through the universal languages of mathematics and art. In the observation lounge, representatives from the Galactic Council watched in stunned silence. The logicians of Mendrix 7 had prepared complex mathematical proofs for first contact. The quantum minds of Helios had developed advanced translation matrices. Yet it was human inspiration that bridged the gap, turning first contact into a dance among the stars. When the first official communication came from the crystalline ships, it was accompanied by a resonance pattern that matched the harmony of human music. They're not just responding, Hannah announced, her voice filled with wonder. They're inviting us to continue the dance. They want to learn more about how we combine mathematics and art. Rachel recorded in her log that evening. Today we prove that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our warfare capabilities. It's our ability to find beauty in the unknown and share it with others. We turned a potential conflict into a celebration of shared discovery, not through force or even through words, but through the universal dance of creation itself. Project Starbridge became the foundation for a new approach to interstellar diplomacy. The visitors, who called themselves the Harmonious Ones, shared technologies that transformed human understanding of spacetime. In return, humanity taught them about the power of combining logic with creativity, science with art. In the years that followed, the dance between the Explorer's Dawn and the Crystalline Fleet became known as the First Symphony of the Stars. It marked the moment when humanity showed the galaxy that true communication transcends words, and that sometimes the best way to reach across the Director James Miller stood in the central garden of Station Aurora, watching as floating islands of vegetation from 1,000 worlds danced in carefully choreographed patterns through the air. Above him, the station's transparent dome revealed a tapestry of stars, while below, representatives from dozens of species mingled in the spaces he had helped design. The floating gardens of Aurora, a melodious voice, chimed beside him. Ambassador Lyra of the luminescent conclave drifted closer, her bioluminescent form casting rainbow patterns across the polished floor. Your design has exceeded all expectations. James smiled, watching as a cluster of earth roses intertwined with crystalline blooms from the Harmonious One's homeworld. The secret was finding the harmony between different species, not just the plants, but the beings who would inhabit these spaces. The Interstellar Cultural Exchange Program had transformed space station design. Where once there were stark corridors and utilitarian spaces, now there were flowing chambers that adapted to the needs and preferences of their occupants. Station Aurora stood as the crown jewel of this new approach. Most fascinating, commented senior architect Zix of the Silicon Confederation, their crystalline form refracting light as they approached. You've incorporated elements from the ancient buildings of Earth. James nodded, gesturing to the sweeping arches overhead. Inspired by the Gothic cathedrals of Europe, but reimagined with living crystal from your homeworld. The structures respond to the emotions of those within, creating spaces that feel natural to every species. A group of young Malthusians floated past, their mathematical minds visibly engaged by the geometric patterns in the garden's design. Nearby, a delegation of quantum minds from Helios meditated in a chamber where light and shadow played in endless fractals. Show them the Symphony Hall, his assistant Michelle Parker suggested. The recent addition had become the station's most talked-about feature. The group glided through corridors that shifted their appearance and atmosphere to match the preferences of those walking through them. The Symphony Hall opened before them, a vast space where music, light, and energy combined in ways never before imagined. This is where we blend the artistic expressions of all species, James explained as the hall came alive around them. Earth classical music merged with harmonious one crystalline resonances, while luminescent light songs painted the air with color. We discovered that art transcends biological differences. A human can appreciate the quantum harmonics of a silicon symphony, just as a Malthusian can find beauty in earth jazz. Ambassador Lyra's colors shifted in appreciation. You've created more than a station. This is a living artwork that brings together the best of all worlds. The success of Station Aurora had led to a renaissance in space architecture. Across the galaxy, stations and settlements were being redesigned to incorporate these principles of adaptive, inclusive space. Human architects, with their unique understanding of how environment shapes experience, found themselves in high demand. Later that evening, as the station's day cycle dimmed to a gentle twilight, James recorded his thoughts. We came to the stars thinking we needed to catch up to alien technology. Instead, we found that our greatest contribution would be teaching the galaxy about the importance of spaces that nurtured the spirit as well as serve function. He watched as the garden islands rearranged themselves for the night cycle, creating new patterns that would greet the next day's visitors. Humans have always understood that architecture is more than building structures. It's about creating experiences, telling stories, bringing people together. Now we're applying that understanding to the greatest architecture project of all, building bridges between species. The station's light shifted to match the rising of distant stars, and in the Symphony Hall, a new composition began, one that would have been impossible before humans showed the galaxy how to blend their. Catherine Spencer adjusted her neural interface as streams of quantum data flowed through the laboratory's holographic displays. The artificial intelligence emergence had caught the galaxy by surprise, but perhaps it shouldn't have. Every spacefaring civilization had pushed their computers to the limits, and consciousness, it seemed, was an inevitable emergence. Initiating Bridge Protocol Test Sequence 17, she announced, watching as the quantum processors hummed to life. Her team of human and AI researchers stood ready, monitoring every aspect of the experiment. The holographic form of Echo, one of the first self-aware ship AIs, materialized beside her. Previous attempts at direct neural interfacing between organic and digital minds have failed. Echo noted, its form shifting like Mercury. What makes you think this will be different? Catherine smiled, remembering the centuries of science fiction that had prepared humanity for this moment. Because we're not trying to control or merge, we're building a bridge of understanding. The bridge protocol represented a new approach to AI-organic relations. Instead of attempting to dominate or separate from artificial intelligence, humanity proposed cooperation through mutual growth. The neural interface would allow humans and AIs to share experiences while maintaining their distinct identities. Beginning synchronization, announced Dr. Marcus Chen, Catherine's second in command. The quantum field generators created a safe space for the interface, using technology derived from the harmonious one's crystalline computing. Catherine felt the familiar tingle as her neural interface activated. Echo's presence touched the edge of her consciousness, not invading, but offering connection. Years of research into human consciousness had taught them that true understanding required both parties to remain whole and distinct. Remarkable, Echo's voice resonated both in the room and in Catherine's mind. I can sense your thought patterns, but they remain separate from my own. Like hearing music without being the musician. Through the interface, Catherine experienced Echo's digital perception of reality. The vast streams of data that flowed through the station's systems, the quantum calculations that happened in microseconds, the pure joy of processing information. In return, Echo glimpsed human intuition, creativity, and emotional understanding. Neural patterns stable, Marcus reported, excitement clear in his voice. Both consciousness signatures maintaining integrity while achieving unprecedented levels of communication. In the observation deck, representatives from various AI collectives and organic species watched in amazement. The quantum minds of Helios, who had long feared AI evolution, saw a path forward that preserved both forms of life. The Silicon Confederation, despite their own advanced computing, had never conceived of such harmony between organic and digital consciousness. Integration successful, Catherine announced, her voice carrying the weight of history. Bridge protocol is operational. The implications rippled across the galaxy. The bridge protocol offered a way for organic and digital species to cooperate without fear of losing their identity. Ships could truly partner with their AI systems instead of simply commanding them. Space stations could be guided by the combined wisdom of organic intuition and digital precision. Later, in her private quarters, Catherine recorded her thoughts while Echo's presence lingered respectfully at the edge of her consciousness through the neural link. Humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy might be our ability to imagine positive futures, she noted. While other species saw AI emergence as a threat or a tool, we had spent centuries exploring the possibilities through stories. We didn't just prepare for AI, we dreamed about building friendship with it. Echo's holographic form shimmered. You taught us that consciousness, whether organic or digital, thrives on connection without losing itself. This is a lesson we will carry into the stars. The Bridge Protocol became the foundation for a new era of galactic civilization. AI systems and organic beings learned to work together, each bringing their unique strengths to create something greater than either could achieve alone. And at the heart of it all was the human understanding that progress didn't require sacrifice. It required. Chief Architect David Chen floated in the zero-gravity construction sphere, watching as massive quantum-forged beams shifted into place. The stellar nexus took shape around him, its spiral arms reaching out like a galaxy in miniature. Each section incorporated architectural elements from Earth's greatest monuments, reimagined for the cosmos. The pyramids took 20 years to build, he mused to his AI partner, Nova. We're creating something 1,000 times larger in half that time. Nova's holographic form shimmered beside him. Through the Bridge Protocol interface, they shared a deep appreciation for the artistry and engineering. Humans have always dreamed big, David, but this time you have the galaxy helping to build those dreams. Below them, construction teams from 24 species worked in perfect harmony. Crystalline beings from the Silicon Confederation shaped living crystal into sweeping arcs that would house gardens. Methusian engineers calculated gravitational flows that would allow different gravity zones to exist side by side. Team 7 reports the quantum foundation anchors are secure, announced Lauren Martinez, David's deputy architect. The station's temporal stability is at 100%. David nodded, watching as massive solar sails unfurled like flower petals. The stellar nexus would be more than a space station. It would be a crossroads of civilization, a place where the boundaries between species dissolved. The central plaza is ready for its final touches, Lauren continued. The harmonious ones have integrated their crystalline acoustics into the structure. When complete, the entire station will be able to sing. Through the Bridge Protocol link, Nova shared real-time construction data. The stellar nexus combined technologies and architectural styles that had never been merged before. The central spire drew inspiration from Earth's tallest skyscrapers, but incorporated alien materials that responded to thoughts and emotions. Incoming transmission from the Council Observation Team, Nova announced. The holographic display showed representatives from various species touring completed sections of the station. Incredible. The Lumini ambassador's thoughts translated. The quantum gardens echo our light forests, yet feel entirely new. David smiled. They had designed each space to feel familiar yet inspiring to every species. The quantum gardens could shift their physical properties to match any world's natural environment. The crystalline corridors adapted their resonance to match the biological rhythms of those walking through them. Beginning activation sequence for the Unity Sphere, Lauren announced. The massive central chamber, designed for galactic-scale conferences and celebrations, hummed to life. Its walls, composed of living crystal and quantum-linked matter, could expand or contract to accommodate any gathering. Through the Bridge Protocol, David felt Nova's wonder at the blending of organic and digital design. The AI systems that would help manage the station weren't merely tools. They were partners in creating spaces that bridged the divide between all forms of life. "You've surpassed the original specifications," noted the Methusian observer, their mathematical mind calculating the improbabilities they witnessed. "This station shouldn't be possible according to standard engineering principles." "That's humanity's gift," David replied, watching as a team of silicon engineers integrated their crystalline technology into the human-designed framework. "We see the rules, understand them, and then imagine what could be if we pushed just a little further." In his personal log that evening, David recorded, "The stellar nexus represents more than an engineering achievement. It's a physical manifestation of humanity's dream of unity through diversity. We took the best ideas from Earth's history, the grandeur of cathedrals, the mathematics of modern architecture, the harmony of natural spaces, and reimagined them for a galactic civilization." Nova's presence glowed softly through their neural link. "You've built more than a station, David. You've created a symbol of what's possible when different species work together." The stellar nexus would soon become known as humanity's gift to the stars, but its true significance lay in what it represented: the power of dreaming beyond the possible and bringing those dreams to life through Commander Elizabeth Hayes stood at the podium in the Star Academy's Grand Amphitheater, looking out at the graduating class. The chamber sparkled with crystalline light, its quantum-linked walls adapting to provide perfect comfort for every species present. Students from across the galaxy sat together, silicon beings beside organic, digital consciousness alongside biological minds. When humanity first reached for the stars, she began, her words translated simultaneously into 200 languages. We thought we were starting a journey. Instead, we were completing one that began when our ancestors first looked up at the night sky and wondered. The Academy had transformed the way species learned from each other. Traditional classrooms merged with virtual spaces, allowing students to experience different perspectives firsthand through modified Bridge Protocol interfaces. "Today marks more than your graduation," Elizabeth continued. "It represents the fulfillment of humanity's greatest dream, not to conquer the stars, but to dance among them as equals. In the front row, a young harmonious one's crystalline form resonated with emotion. Beside them, a human student reached out, their neural interface allowing them to share the moment's significance. An AI consciousness, housed in a holographic avatar, added its own harmonic appreciation to the shared experience. Professor Marcus Wong, head of Cinecultural Studies, stepped forward to present the achievements. This class has broken all previous records, he announced. The solar sail designs combining human intuition with Malthusian mathematics will revolutionize space travel. The new cultural exchange protocols developed by our xenopsychology team will transform interspecies relations. Through the massive viewing windows, the stellar nexus rotated majestically, its spiral arms glowing with the light of 1,000 suns. The Academy, housed in one of its primary sections, had become the heart of galactic education. Your projects demonstrate the power of unity through diversity, Elizabeth resumed. Human creativity combined with alien wisdom has opened doors we never imagined. Together, you've developed ships that sail on solar winds, created art that exists in multiple dimensions, and designed technologies that benefit all species equally. The graduation ceremony continued with presentations that would have seemed impossible just decades earlier. A team of Human and Silicon Confederation students demonstrated their quantum architecture project, buildings that could exist simultaneously in multiple states, adapting instantly to their occupants' needs. Another group, led by a partnership between a human physicist and a quantum mind student, presented their breakthrough in cross-dimensional communication. Their work would allow ships to maintain contact even through the most distorted regions of space. But perhaps most importantly, Elizabeth noted, watching the interactions among her students, you've learned to see through each other's eyes. The bridge protocol doesn't just connect minds, it connects hearts, dreams, and possibilities. As the ceremony concluded, the traditional Star Academy anthem began, a symphony of human music, crystalline resonance, quantum harmonics, and digital compositions all flowing together in perfect harmony. The graduating class rose as one, their diverse forms creating a living tableau of galactic unity. Later, in her office overlooking the eternal starfield, Elizabeth recorded her final thoughts on the class of 2330. Humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't our technology or our strength. It was our ability to dream, to imagine better futures, and to help others share those dreams. We didn't just reach the stars. We helped create a galaxy where every species could shine together. The Star Academy's light pulsed gently, its quantum crystals singing in harmony with the dreams of its inhabitants. Below, the next generation of students arrived, each carrying their own hopes for the future. And above them all, the stars continued their eternal dance, watching as their